Hey, welcome to Advancing AI, where we talk all things AI and machine learning. Now, this week has been a really exciting week. It's been all about Microsoft Build. Now, if you're wondering what are the key AI announcements that come out of the back of the Build, don't worry about it, right? There's so many announcements that were announced at the back of Build, and there's so many things to unpack, and we've got a really special session here for you today. So what we have here today, or what we're going to do, is invite some of our experts from Advancing Analytics to just talk about all the key AI announcements and just feed that back to everybody. So without further ado, I'm going to invite our crew, our Advancing Analytics AI crew, and we have Chris joining us today. We have Aya joining us, Sahil, and last but not least, we have Tori.
Hello.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Not too bad.
Yourself?
Yeah.
Good. I'm really excited. Have you guys followed Microsoft Build this week?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it's been exciting.
Good. Exactly. Right. So we all work in different areas when it comes to AI in Advancing Analytics. And I just appreciate you giving your time to come and talk to us about all your favorite announcements today. And we've kind of prepared some slides. So let me share some slides here today. Cool. So it's all about the announcements, all about AI announcements from Build 2024, right? Now, they were at the back of the Build, there were 60 announcements, and it was quite interesting to see out of the 60 announcements, 35 of them were specifically related to AI. And that's quite a lot, right? Thinking about it. I mean, last year, we didn't have as many AI announcements. This year, it's all about AI. Well, I say all about AI, more than half about AI announcements. Now, have a guess, team. Have a guess. Out of all the announcements that were published in the Book of News, how many times AI was mentioned in the Book of News?
35.
60 times.
60. We've got 60. We've got 35. 5. Right.
35.
That's how many times
213.
AI was mentioned. 213 mentions of AI in the Book of News. Right?
Season of AI, right?
That's a lot of AI. Anyway, we're here today to share some of our favorite AI announcements, and I'm going to go per category, right? So let's start off with Azure AI Services, where we have private chatbots. Now, Chris, you've done a lot of work in private chatbots. Do you want to give a couple of your ideas? Well, just give an update about the announcement, the back of Bill.
Yeah, this is great. So looking at our specific, it's easy as developers to look at our specific areas. So getting deep into machine learning or getting really into Azure functions, this takes us a step back and congregates every element it takes to actually deploy solutions, from VNets to private DNS zones. It's brilliant. They've also put it into a blog, and they've put it into Terraform, so you can go and implement this yourself. It's a very good holistic overview of the architecture that's required to deliver a solution. But not only that, if you read the blog, it goes into the reasoning and the thought behind why they've done it, and it's fantastic if you're trying to understand what it takes to deliver a solution.
Yep, I think so, right? So the next announcement, pretty exciting. We've used Azure AI Search quite a lot just this year. Tori, you've got quite a lot to say.
Yes, yep. So the main thing around AI search is their new higher capacity pricing, or non-pricing, should I say. So they've got increased storage capacity and index size now at no additional cost, which is quite fun. I've got a couple of stats that they published as well here, which are ambitious. So 3 to 6 times increase in total storage per partition, and 5 to 12 times increase in vector index size per partition, and all of that is at the same cost that it currently is now. Yeah, pretty massive.
So you can store a lot more for a lot cheaper.
Yeah, which is the key to a successful RAG implementation.
Hence your title, Higher Capacity RAG.
Yep.
All right, cool.
Yeah, alongside that stuff, they've had lots of other announcements around AI search as well. So it now supports quantization techniques for more efficient embeddings. narrow numeric types, vector field storage utilization, and then some fun stuff around vector weighting, threshold control. And one interesting one as well is you can set maximum recall sizes. So you're not returning heaps of embeddings to put into your prompts. You can now set a max, which is exciting too.
Nice.
And then just some additional updates around Azure AI Search as well. So they've got some additional embedding models, which is exciting. Now things are slightly moving towards multimodal. We've got some multimodal embedding models like Cohere and Clip. And then GPT-4 with Vision as well. It can now use as an embedding model, which is exciting. And then for all the Fabric lovers, there's now a OneLake connector to Azure AI Search. So you can now have that as part of your data pipelines, which is cool.
So you can do RAG in Fabric?
You can do RAG in Fabric.
Nice. Cool. Okay, and the next big announcement is about the Azure AI Studio. We have Sahil here to talk about it. Go ahead, Sahil.
Yeah, so today I'm excited to say that Microsoft's Azure AI Studio is now generally available and is a key part of the Microsoft Copilot stack. It's been in preview for a long time now, so it's great to finally be saying that it's now gone GA, aiding developers to responsibly build and deploy custom copilots using generative AI. So you've got dual development approach. So Azure AI Studio offers both a user-friendly interface and a code-first capabilities, so catering to different development needs. So whether you're focused on content generation or data analysis, project management, or automating routine tasks, Azure AI Studio has the tools to support your complex applications. We also have advanced AI tools as well. So one of the standout features for Azure AI Studio is its ability to explore and orchestrate the latest AI tools, APIs and models. And developers can ground these models on protected data, ensuring privacy, security, rigorously testing, and evaluate their AI innovations for performance and safety. And then another thing, integration and orchestration. So when it comes to deployment, Azure AI Studio enables large-scale operations with continuous monitoring, allowing developers to confidently deploy and maintain their AI solutions. So yeah.
Cool. I mean, that was a huge announcement at the back of Azure AI Studio, right? I mean, we've been using Azure AI Studio here as a team, but all in public preview, so we can't really develop workflows within AI Studio in the aim that we're going to productionize it. But this changes the game for us quite a bit. So it's cool to know that AI Studio is GA now. All right, you've got another. Sorry, you got another slide to talk about. Go ahead.
Yeah, so just a little bit more. Code first tools. So the platform includes code first development tools like Azure Developer CLI and the AI Toolkit for Microsoft VS Code, so which are currently in preview. Essentially, these tools streamline large language models operations as part of continuous integration and delivery workflows, just speeding up the code to cloud process. We also got models as a service. So additionally, Azure AI Studio offers access to the latest foundation models from leading innovators through the upcoming models as a service. So this feature allows developers to build generative AI applications using a pay-as-you-go interface, APIs, and hosted fine-tuning, simplifying app integration without the need for dedicated virtual machines. And then lastly, comprehensive AI services. So the platform also provides a comprehensive AI toolchain, including seamless data integration, prompt orchestration, and system evaluation. So new capabilities like prompt flow for multi-model models, tracing and debugging tools, and monitoring for generative AI apps, which are all in preview.
Cool. I mean, that's a huge number of announcements just on AI Studio. So it's pretty cool. And yeah, we've got more announcements. We've got GPT-4.
Yeah, coming off the back of OpenAI's release a week, 2 weeks ago, I think now, of GPT-4o. We now see that in Azure, which is great. I think it was a matter of hours afterwards that we saw that actually release, which is fantastic. We can get our hands on it and play with it. There is a lot to this. They have integrated vision and audio into one single model, which is just, it's fantastic. You don't really need to, you do need to concern yourself with other models, but this is a powerhouse in terms of what it can actually deliver for you. And the overall performance, it has just increased. We're looking, the numbers that are on screen, and I recommend that you go read in depth the OpenAI blog, because they really go into depth and point you towards the paper that was released.
What's the cost difference with 4.0?
It's a lot cheaper than GPT-4. I don't have the metrics right in front of me, but off the top of my head, it was a matter of cents, because they do it in dollars cheaper than GPT-4.
Nice.
So you're getting a far more advanced model for far cheaper as well.
Yeah, by far.
Getting more for less.
We love it.
Exactly.
This
Tell me
isn't
about
getting.
fine-tuning then, Chris. Sorry.
No worries. Talking of cost, GPT-4 has now been released on as a fine-tuning model within the north central of US and Sweden. You can go ahead and fine-tune your models to be domain specific or however you would like them, which is great. Much more improved than GPT 3.5.
Yep.
There is a slight cost to it though. Looking at $102 per hour for training, then $5 an hour for hosting.
Wow.
The token rates are reasonable, and what you'd expect, about 3 cent to 6 cent for responses. But it's a pricey option, but a powerful option.
Yeah, I guess if you have a use case that you need to look into fine-tuning, then this is certainly an option to look into.
Yeah, definitely removes the worry about infrastructure as well. So you can just pay the $102 and off you go, fine-tune domain specific GPT-4.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Gabby, this is one that I'm really interested in. The public preview announcement of Assistance API. It's kind of a refresh of the original API that got released in 2023. So only a year ago, they're refreshing it and bringing more value, which is great, with some really, really interesting features and some really interesting code implementations. I can't wait to go do this myself.
So, I've got a question, Chris. You've looked into this quite in depth now.
Yeah.
Can you share some use cases where you or us as a team would use the Assistance API here for?
Yeah, sure. Any instance that you're doing a RAG implementation, for instance, it simplifies the RAG implementations within Azure by a significant amount. You can also use these within Azure Functions, which it is brilliant. You can not worry about your infrastructure and implement something that is just powerful out of the box.
Yeah, this is something I must admit as well. I've been really looking forward to this. If you use if you use OpenAI, this was available to us 6 months, I want to say a year ago. But now it's available in Azure OpenAI, but still in public preview.
Yes, and not all of it's released yet. In July, we've got the browsing capability and indexing from AI Search and Cosmos DB. The interesting thing with the browsing is, like in OpenAI's service, you can go and search Bing. We're going to be able to do that within Azure very soon.
Oh, that is cool. I can see a lot of value in doing that. And you've got WhatsApp messages. So what's all this about then, Chris?
Yeah, this was kind of tacked on at the end of a Azure Communication Services blog.
Okay.
A couple of lines just saying that you can now, if you have a business supported channel, semantically analyze your WhatsApp messages, which is great if you're having a lot of traffic through those chat channels and you want to understand how your product's doing, or any trends, any negative things or positive things going on. You can you can now analyze them and then place them into a database to
Am I right in saying, though, that these are only meant for business users?
Yeah, it's only available to business forward channels.
Okay, makes
hosted
sense.
Within Azure. Yeah.
Okay. This is one I'm also looking forward I was looking for as an announcement. So we've got the 5.3 vision.
Yeah, we have the Phi 3 Vision. It's a very interesting model that was announced during the build. It's a new multimodal model in the Phi 3 family of small language models. The Phi 3 models are very cost effective and powerful, but
Yep.
the Phi 3 Vision comes with visual reasoning. So now you can pass in your bar charts and ask questions about them, and it gives you response based on the image you've passed in. So you can pass in charts, graphs, and even tables.
Yep.
So it's really good. Another update that was also given at the build is that the Phi 3 Mini and Phi 3 Mediums are now generally available as part of Microsoft AI model as a service offering.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, these are pretty cool models as well. And Khan Academy that recently partnered with Microsoft to offer free education are actually using these models, to give match tutoring and exactly what you were saying there, Io, to get Phi 3 to analyze charts, graphs, tables, and the back of it provide some context to students. So powerful, right? And it's amazing. I think this year is going to be the world of small models anyway.
Yeah. One interesting thing I would like to see is how the Phi 3 Vision compares to GPT 4.0. So we shall see.
Yeah,
Um,
be
yeah,
interesting to see that.
yeah, this just compares how these small language models have been able to outperform most of the general models we already have. They are trained on very small data, and we can see that the
Yeah.
quality of these models they surpass most of the other data, most of the other models that have been trained on higher amount of data. So
Yeah,
the
I mean,
Phi 3 models are really good.
that's quite interesting, right? You've got the Mistral model there, you've got the Ajama Mistral model, and you've got the Llama 3. It's
Mhm.
80 billion models as well, 80 billion tokens, and the Phi
Yeah.
3, in terms of model quality, performs far better than your bigger models. That's cool to see.
Yeah.
Another interesting announcement, right? And really important as well, especially if you're working in the Gen AI field and using LLMs quite extensively, is about content safety. I know this is close to your heart, so go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, there were two major updates that came up from the build. One of them is they introduced custom categories,
Yeah.
and they've also launched prompt shield and groundedness detection.
Yeah.
The custom categories, they are the filters for generative applications to meet specific content filtering requirements.
Yeah.
So you can customize your own filters according to the requirements you
Yeah.
need it for. With the custom categories, they also gave an options for two modes of deployment. We have the standard and the rapid deployment. The standard deployment is basically for thorough understanding of what you want to filter, while the rapid just caters for urgent need for content filtering. So the standard, you need about 50 lines of natural language
Yeah.
to train this model, but the rapid do not need that much, just a few lines and you are good to go. So it's just a matter of balancing speed over comprehensive understanding of what you need to filter, because the standard mode of deployment takes about 24 hours, which is long,
Wow.
but the
Yeah.
rapid takes about an hour.
Brilliant. I mean, yeah, I think having custom categories as well gives customers a lot of flexibility. So there's something they want to make sure that is censored or it's not appearing, and then they can use custom categories. From what I'm seeing on the screen, for example, you've got bullying, you can give a definition, 50 samples, and you're good to go. So that's pretty powerful.
Yeah. So the two other updates that came for content safety are the prompt shield detection and groundedness detection. With the prompt shield detection, it helps mitigate both indirect and jailbreak prompt injection attacks. So it provides a kind of security for your application. The groundedness detection kind of take care of some of our fears already about large language models hallucinating. So the groundedness detection helps detect hallucination in the results of the large language models when they get prompted. So they are very, very good features.
Yep.
Noted.
I mean, that is something that we use when we develop, RAG. We use the RAG framework to develop applications. We absolutely use groundedness, and I can absolutely say that that is very powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then I think I'm also excited about this. I'm excited about a lot of announcements here, but Visual AI Speech.
Yeah, so the AI Speech Studios had a couple of updates. So the main one is the new offering of speech analytics. So this is in public preview. It's a completely brand new service announced at Build. And this is a suite of tools and techniques for analytics of real-time speech. So it'd be transcription, summarization, got a couple of on there on the board. So speech recognition, speaker diarization. So if you've got two people talking, it's able to distinguish and create transcriptions for two separate people, and sentiment analysis as well. So this is all great for things like analyzing call center calls or podcasts or sort of any speech media, I suppose.
Yep.
But the main exciting thing, I think, is the prompt flow integration. So I've not really seen this with anything they've done with the speech studio. But you can open up speech analytics, open up the prompt flow workflow behind the scenes, edit it and customize it however you want. So if you wanted like an extra call to a large language model or some formatting or really anything in there, you can edit the prompt flow directly and have your own speech analytics workflow, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. In terms of use cases, you've mentioned a couple already, Tori. Is there anything else you see speech analytics in the way you've described here, in the way the announcements have come out, can be used for interesting use?
I think one quite close to my heart is a project I've been working on quite recently. So around education of English language. So help teaching and testing non-native speakers English language, providing them pronunciation assessment, all of that stuff as well. I think is going to be it's going to go incredible with this.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Especially speaker diarization. Yeah, how you say it, but that's how you say it, I suppose. Understanding, how you've got a student and a teacher, and fitting that back into a prompt flow and doing some analysis and creating some feedback at the back of that is pretty powerful as well.
Yeah, I think so. And then AI Studio, Speech Studio, also has video dubbing that's been released. This is another brand new service, sort of really surprised me at Build, which is you can upload video files or a group of video files written in a language, and it will provide you that video back with the language dubbed in a translated the translated speech of that. So there's only 20 language pairings at the moment. So for example, like English to French would be a pairing. So it's not limitless at the moment. Hopefully we'll see lots of these being added because 20 isn't huge. But yeah, this is cool.
Is this public preview? Is this general availability? How do we use this?
Public preview, and there's no API at the moment. It's all sort of done through the Speech Studio, kind of like how the pronunciation assessment stuff was like 6 months ago.
Okay.
But yeah, I can see this going quite a way. I think it's going to be great for things like the education sector, or like marketing. You're able to create videos and content for one target audience, and now give that to another.
Cool. Yeah, that's really cool. We've got new capabilities in Azure Cosmos DB. So what have you got to say about this then?
Yeah, there are a bunch of new capabilities they've now added to Azure Cosmos DB. One of them is built-in vector database capabilities. So now Cosmos DB for NoSQL will now feature built-in vector indexing and vector similarity search. So this will eliminate the need to use and maintain separate vector database for your application. So we also have the serverless to proficient account migration. We have the cross-region disaster recovery, Azure Cosmos DB Vercel integration. So now Vercel users can now integrate easily with Cosmos DB, and Go SDK for Azure Cosmos DB. So they are really, really good capabilities that have been added.
Nice, thank you. And then we've got Azure API Center.
Yeah. So call me a nerd, but I am super excited for these last few announcements. So API Center was another one that's taken me by surprise at Build, which is now generally available. So you can get your hands on it now, sort of play around with it, start productionizing it. And I think it's a good reflection of how sort of AI and data science has come over the last few years, with everything now being supported as real time. You're having lots of API endpoints for real-time models, for large language flow workflows. And what do you do with all those APIs? We now have the API Center. So it's a centralized sort of inventory for your APIs, a feature store for APIs, if you will, but a governance layer for all of your APIs to keep consistency, to manage your versions properly, to ensure that they're all abiding by the standards that you set.
Yeah.
And inventory for all your different APIs. And it's pretty cool because there's a couple of buttons you can click and you can convert all of your APIM, so your API management APIs, straight into the API Center with all of your metadata associated. And it's got some CI/CD stuff as well. So if you're working with GitHub and DevOps as well, you can now use CI/CD processes with the API Center.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool stuff. The one I'm most excited for is the API management stuff. I don't know if anyone's been working with large language models or working specifically with Azure OpenAI. API management has been a recommended part of the enterprise architecture for about 6 months now. And generally, to be a load balancer for all of the throttling that's been happening with Azure OpenAI, if you've used it specifically with peak times in your area, you might be getting like 49 errors to say service unavailable. And generally, the answer has been have a load balancer, have a couple of resources in different areas, so you're not hitting those throttled resources. And previously, you've had to build them yourself. But with the new API management updates, they've introduced a couple of new APIM policies, and the main exciting one being the load balancer and circuit breaker ones. So you can now have a round robin weighted load balancer or a priority order to your load balancer as well, which is very cool.
I mean, this is very cool. But the last 6 months, as a team, we've been doing all this hard work and coding it all up. But now there's patterns readily available. And it's a good thing, right? I guess it accelerates the development of using OpenAI within Azure and making sure you do it properly. Exactly what you were saying. The 404 errors were a pain when we first started to work with large language model, but this makes it a ton easier.
Yeah. And Microsoft, if you're doing a productionized solution with Azure OpenAI, they recommend anyway that you have API management sitting as a cushion between. So now them giving you a pattern has just made that 10 times easier.
Yeah, exactly. Azure Functions, another thing that you're excited about, Tori.
Yeah, you know too well. I think this is another good reflection of how LLMOps and MLOps has kind of come with Azure Functions being recommended as the resource to use when building APIs for machine learning and Gen AI loads.
Yep.
And I think reflecting of that is their new flex consumption plan. So previously, before, they had a flex plan and a consumption plan, and they had a premium plan as well. But they really combined those first two to make a more optimized plan for those workloads. That's that larger maximum scale out. So you can scale out to 100 instances now. You can set it so it's always ready, so you don't have cold starts, and you can make it event driven as well. And that's all in public preview.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the final one with Azure Functions is the new OpenAI integration. So you can now have triggers and bindings from OpenAI now. So the main trigger is the assistant stuff. So what Chris was talking about earlier, you can now have an assistant trigger an Azure function, which is very exciting. So you don't have to have just HTTP triggers or storage triggers. You've got one for an assistant now. You've also got bindings for some other things as well. So for like embedding and text completion, you now have created connections already there for Azure AI Search, for example, and for Azure OpenAI. So that stuff is now automatically baked in with the OpenAI extension, making RAG implementations and just large language model implementations just easier now.
Oh, it's in public preview.
Public preview, yeah.
Right. I mean, that is a ton of announcements all about AI. And that brings us to the end of all the announcements that we collated. I mean, is it fair to say that that is all our favorite announcements, right? But team, I've got a question for everyone here. Out of all the announcements that we spoke about, what's your favorite announcement? Chris?
I've definitely got to pick two. I can't pick one. It's the combination of Azure Functions and the Assistance refresh, the Assistance API refresh. The combination of the two is just very impactful. And if you combine that with the new Flexi plan, you have an event-driven Azure serverless Azure function hosting the Assistance API, which is, it's going to be a great combination.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Aya?
Yeah, I also have two, not one. For me, one of them is the Function AI extension. So it's now easier to connect to OpenAI using Azure Functions. And the other one is the content safety, the custom content safety. So now you can create your own custom filter for your app. Things like racism, bullying that are not readily there can now be created by yourself. To focus on your use case. So it's really nice.
I like your answer. You're very responsible, Aya. What about you, Sahil?
I'd probably put two as well. So I think Azure Functions, it would be nice to see all the capabilities with that. And weirdly enough, the WhatsApp integration with Azure Communication Services, it would be nice to see how small businesses could leverage using that and trying to connect to more of their customers. And as WhatsApp is something I'm sure we all use, so it would be nice to see how they reach out to like global customers around the world. So
Cool. Yeah, good answer. Tori, you're only allowed to give two, Tori, not more than two.
I'm gonna have to give two now, I think, to follow the pattern. Like I said before, giant APIM nerd. I'm super excited for the load balancer stuff. I think that's going to be super impactful to productionize workloads. And then I'm surprised no one's mentioned it, but the AI Studio being GA now, I think we've been waiting a long time.
We have been waiting a long time for that.
Excited about that.
Good. So my two favorites, I'd say, is the small language models. I'm pretty excited about 5.3. I don't think we've ever used it in Anger, and I'm really keen to start incorporating small models because it's cheaper, right? And you've seen from the plot that Aya just shared with all of us, the quality can be very significantly better than large language models. And the other thing that I'm interested in is speech analytics. I've always been a fan of multimodal LLMs and generative AI, and I'm just quite keen to integrate now speech to text, text to speech, and back over again. And you can even get videos like that in 6 months' time. So I'm excited about all the announcements, but those two in particular are my favorites. So anyway, that brings us to wrap up, really. We're wrapping up all the announcements that we've collated together as a team and shared that with everyone. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you like this kind of content, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you very much for watching.
Bye.
Cheers.